So we're grappling again with the energy crisis here. Federal Parliament is sitting later this week. All those pollies and their staff flying back to Canberra. Imagine what that's going to cost. And imagine the carbon emissions of doing that. They don't seem to care about those emissions. And we're getting the usual argy-bargy from the Greens and the Teal independent David Pocock. Every time the government wants something now, these crossbenchers in the Senate, they try to exact a price. That's just cynical politics, as usual, from the politicians who claim to have a different approach. But let's have a look at what's happening in the meantime in Europe. That's where we're heading. That's the place Labor and the Greens want to emulate with their obsessive pursuit of renewables. Bloomberg energy commentator Javier Blas tweeted this graph today showing the wholesale price of electricity later today in the UK is priced at more than £2,500 or more than $4,500 Australian dollars. That apparently is 45 times the average price over the last decade. And Blas wrote an opinion piece last week hitting back at those who were suggesting the worst of the energy crisis was behind Europe. He foreshadowed what's happening now, and it's instructive for us. Blas wrote, "The problem is energy markets are so tight that only a few degrees Celsius or a few windless days are what separate Europe facing blackouts from having enough power to make it through the winter. And although gas has been emblematic of the energy crisis since Russia cut supplies, I remain more worried about electricity." He went on to say localised blackouts remain a strong possibility, particularly for France, Finland, Ireland and Sweden. Blackouts. We shouldn't be blasé about this. Blackouts caused by lack of supply are a disgrace for a developed economy. And blackouts in a European winter mean people dying from cold. Blas went on to say that last week across Europe, the wind nearly stopped, forcing the grids to lean harder on gas-fired power stations and in Germany on coal. In the past, the French nuclear industry would have stepped up, exporting electricity to everyone, but France was importing lots of power because many of its reactors have been down for repairs, further tightening the market. As a result, electricity prices surged. They sure did. That was last week, and now some of that's coming to fruition, with the UK actually now looking to trigger emergency plans to fire up old coal plants to get through the latest iteration of their energy crisis. Put simply, we can't afford to rely on the wind. It's as simple and as obvious as that. But try explaining that to the Australian Greens.
Well, we want to see electricity bills frozen for 2 years at pre-crisis levels, because that would give enough time to help get the country off gas onto cheaper renewable electricity, and also to do things like give people and businesses subsidies to install batteries and more solar panels in their homes so that they could build up some resilience against the gouging from the gas and coal corporations. So that would give enough time for our country to become more energy independent and for households and businesses to do what's necessary and make the investments with government support to get off gas.
Adam Ban, stuck in renewables delusion, opposes nuclear, hates gas and coal, even though it supplies most of our energy now. Just irrational, but sadly politically influential. And so the federal Labor government will try to pass its coal and gas price caps later this week. Nothing to boost generation, nothing to deliver dispatchable electricity, just billions more for intermittent renewables and more curbs on the gas and coal industries that are actually saving the budget and delivering the vast majority of our energy at the moment. As I keep telling you, this will get worse. Our danger time, of course, is summer. That's when we hit our peak demand. But listen to this from the Treasurer.
Now, anybody who votes against this in the Parliament is voting for higher prices for Australian industry and for Australian families. Now, the Coalition has already indicated they'll be voting for higher energy prices.
Imagine the chutzpah to say that a vote against Labor's plan is a vote for higher electricity prices. The moment people voted for higher electricity prices was when they voted in a Labor government. Remember, we warned them It was clear as day that Labor was going to make the energy mess worse. Labor promised to deliver cheaper electricity. We all remember that. $275 a year cheaper they promised, but it's gone up by more than that. And now they want Parliament to trust them with their next plan, cobbled together on the run. Good luck.